The waiter had already refilled my water glass 3 times when I finally accepted the truth. Tara wasn't coming. Again. I sat alone at Romano's, the city's most expensive restaurant, watching couples share intimate conversations while I nursed a $20 whiskey and tried not to look like the pathetic husband I'd apparently become. The mansion deed burned in my jacket pocket, the surprise I'd planned to share with my wife of 8 years. $3 million of lakefront property, bought with money I'd earned flipping houses in this God-forsaken Midwest city that pretended to be sophisticated, but still smelled like corn and disappointment. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My phone buzzed. Another text from Tara. Sorry, babe, stuck in traffic. Rain check, just tell me what you wanted to say. I stared at the message, my jaw clenching. Stuck in traffic. The same excuse she'd used last month when she missed our anniversary dinner. The same excuse she'd used 2 weeks ago when she bailed on my mother's birthday party. I was starting to think Tara lived in some alternate dimension where every road led through a perpetual traffic jam. Nothing important, I typed back. Just wanted to tell you I love you. The lie tasted bitter, but not as bitter as the truth would have. What I really wanted to tell her was that Julian Hayes, the kid from the wrong side of town who'd worked construction to pay for college, had just bought the most expensive house in Millfield Heights. The house she'd been not so subtly hinting about for months, with its infinity pool and wine cellar and enough square footage to house a small village. I ordered another whiskey and pulled up Instagram, a masochistic habit I'd developed lately. Tara's story popped up immediately. A selfie from Velvet Lounge downtown, her perfectly contoured face glowing under purple neon lights. The timestamp showed 30 minutes ago, not stuck in traffic. Stuck in lies. Everything all right, sir? The waiter appeared beside my table, his professional smile not quite hiding his pity. Perfect, I said, finishing my drink. Just living the American dream. I paid the check and walked out into the drizzle, my phone already buzzing with notifications. Mason, my best friend, and the only person who still remembered where I came from, had texted, "How'd it go? She flip out about the mansion?" "Rain check," I replied. She was busy. Busy doing what? I didn't answer. Instead, I drove through the empty streets of downtown, past the converted lofts where young professionals pretended to be artists, past the sports bars where guys like me used to drink away their paychecks before we got smart and started taking other people's money instead. My house, our house, sat dark when I pulled into the driveway. Tara's BMW was missing, which shouldn't have surprised me but somehow still did. I'd bought this place 5 years ago when my real estate business finally took off. A modest colonial in a decent neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it was ours, or so I'd thought. Mrs. Pettigrew, our 70-year-old neighbor, was watering her garden despite the rain. She waved me over with the enthusiasm of someone who lived for other people's drama. "Julian, dear, I hope you don't mind me saying, but I saw Tara leave around 5:30. She was all dolled up, looked like she was going somewhere special." I forced a smile. "Date night. You know how it is." "Oh, how romantic." Mrs. Pettigrew's eyes sparkled with gossip-fueled joy. "Though I have to say, that man she was with didn't look like you at all. Tall fellow, very handsome, driving one of those fancy sports cars." The world tilted slightly. "Man? Well, yes, I just assumed, oh my." Her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh dear, I've put my foot in it, haven't I?" I managed to keep my voice steady. "What did he look like?" "Dark hair, expensive suit. Looked like one of those men from the magazines Tara's always reading. Very polished." I thanked Mrs. Pettigrew and went inside, my mind racing. The house felt different now, like a crime scene waiting to be discovered. I poured myself a scotch from the bottle Tara had given me for Christmas and tried to think rationally. There could be an explanation. a work meeting, a friend's husband giving her a ride, a perfectly innocent reason why my wife was lying to me. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thought you should know. Check the Riverside Hotel bar. Tonight. Attached was a photo that made me freeze. Tara, laughing at a corner table, her hand resting on the arm of a man I recognized immediately. Derek Grant, the smug marketing consultant who'd tried to steal a client from me 2 years ago. The same Derek Grant who'd made a point of mentioning how lucky I was to have such a beautiful wife at the Chamber of Commerce dinner last month. I stared at the photo until my eyes burned, memorizing every detail. The way Tara leaned into him, the intimate setting, the wedding ring conspicuously absent from her left hand. My phone rang. Mason. "You sound like hell," he said without preamble. "I feel like hell." "What happened?" I told him everything, the missed dinner, the lies, the photo. Mason listened without interruption, which was one of the reasons he'd been my best friend since high school. "So what are you going to do?" he asked finally. I looked around the house I'd bought for us, at the framed photos of our wedding day, at the life I'd built thinking it meant something to both of us. I'm going to make them wish they'd never been born. The next morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. While Tara slept off what she claimed was a girls' night headache, I sat in my home office and became a detective. Credit card statements told the first part of the story. Expensive dinners at restaurants I'd never been to, hotel charges that made my stomach turn, a jewelry purchase from Tiffany's that I definitely hadn't authorized, all in the last 2 months, all carefully hidden in the avalanche of business expenses that I'd been too trusting to examine closely. Her phone records were harder to crack, but I'd learned a few things about technology during my years in business. The number of calls and texts to Derek's number painted a clear picture, especially the late-night conversations that lasted hours. I was deep in my research when Tara finally emerged from the bedroom, looking like a magazine cover even at 10 in the morning. She'd always been beautiful. That's what had attracted me to her in the first place, back when I was a nobody contractor, and she was a college girl who thought I was mysterious and dangerous. Now she was a lifestyle influencer with 40,000 followers who hung on her every perfectly curated word about fashion, fitness, and the art of living well. "You're home," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Feeling better?" "Much better." I closed my laptop. "How was girls' night?" "Oh, you know. Drama. Sarah's having problems with her boyfriend again." She moved to the coffee machine with practiced grace. "We probably talked too much and drank too much wine." The lie rolled off her tongue so easily that I almost admired her skill. Almost. "Which restaurant did you go to?" A tiny pause. "That new place on 5th Street. Very trendy. You wouldn't like it." I nodded, making a mental note to check if there even was a new restaurant on 5th Street. "I had something I wanted to tell you last night." "Oh?" She turned, coffee mug in hand, eyebrows raised in polite interest. "I bought us a house." The mug slipped from her fingers, shattering against the kitchen tiles. Coffee splashed across the white cabinets. "You what?" "A house. The Morrison Mansion on Lakeview Drive. $3 million cash offer. I thought you'd be excited." She stared at me, her face cycling through emotions I couldn't quite read. Shock, excitement, something that looked almost like guilt. "Julian, that's incredible. When? How?" "I've been working on it for months. Remember all those late nights I said I was dealing with difficult clients? I was actually putting together the financing. I wanted it to be a surprise." She threw her arms around me, and for a moment, I almost forgot about Derek Grant and the Riverside Hotel. Almost. "I can't believe it," she whispered against my neck. "The Morrison Mansion. I've dreamed about that house since we moved here." "I know. That's why I bought it." She pulled back, her eyes bright with tears that might have been real. When do we move in? Soon. I just need to handle some paperwork. What I didn't tell her was that the paperwork involved transferring the deed to my mother's name. A little insurance policy I'd decided on during my sleepless night of planning. If Tara wanted to play games, I'd make sure I controlled the board. After she left for a yoga class that I was now certain didn't exist, I called Mason. I need your help, I said when he answered. Name it. I need surveillance. Nothing illegal, just information gathering. Mason had been a cop before he opened his gym, and he still had the instincts. More importantly, he had the contacts. You want to catch them in the act? I want to catch them in everything. Every lie, every secret, every moment they thought they were smarter than me. This is going to get ugly, Julian. It's already ugly. I'm just making sure everyone else can see it. We met at Mason's gym that afternoon, a no-frills place in the industrial district where serious people came to work out their frustrations. I'd been coming here since my construction days, back when my hands were permanently stained with grout and my back ached from carrying other people's dreams up flights of stairs. Here's what I found, Mason said, sliding a manila folder across the desk in his office. Your boy Derek has expensive tastes and a cash flow problem. His marketing firm is barely staying afloat, and his ex-wife is bleeding him dry in alimony payments. I flipped through the papers. Credit reports, business filings, divorce records. Derek Grant wasn't the successful businessman he pretended to be. He was a fraud, just like my wife. There's more, Mason said. He's been telling people around town that he's dating someone with money, someone who's going to help him expand his business. The pieces clicked into place. Tara wasn't just cheating on me for love or lust. She was cheating on me for what she thought was a better financial opportunity. The joke was on both of them. I want you to follow them, I said. Document everything, every meeting, every hotel visit, every public appearance. I want a complete record. What are you planning, Julian? I looked out the window at the city skyline, at the gleaming towers built by men who understood that success wasn't just about making money. It was about making sure your enemies couldn't take it away from you. I'm planning to give them exactly what they deserve. That evening, Tara came home with shopping bags and a guilty smile. She'd bought a new dress, she said, for a charity event next weekend. Something elegant and expensive that would photograph well for her Instagram followers. Will you come with me? She asked, modeling the black cocktail dress in our bedroom mirror. Wouldn't miss it, I said, and meant every word. She looked beautiful in the dress, like a movie star getting ready for her close-up. She had no idea she was actually getting ready for her final scene. The charity gala was being held at the Millfield Grand Hotel, the kind of event where the city's elite gathered to congratulate themselves on their generosity while wearing clothes that cost more than most people's cars. I'd been to dozens of these things over the years, watching Tara work the room like a professional networker, collecting Instagram followers and business cards with equal enthusiasm. Tonight felt different. Tonight, I was hunting. Mason had done his job well. The folder he'd given me that morning contained enough evidence to destroy both Tara and Derek in divorce court. But that wasn't enough anymore. I wanted public humiliation. I wanted their reputations shredded in front of everyone who mattered in this small, gossipy city. You look handsome, Tara said as we walked into the hotel ballroom. She was radiant in her new dress, her arm linked through mine like we were the perfect couple. I'm so proud of you, Julian, my successful husband. The words should have warmed me. Instead, they felt like ice picks in my chest. There's Sarah, Tara said, waving to a blonde woman across the room. I should go say hello. She kissed my cheek and glided away, leaving me alone by the bar. I ordered a whiskey and surveyed the crowd, looking for Derek. I didn't have to look long. He was holding court near the silent auction tables, his expensive suit and practiced smile fooling everyone who didn't know what I knew. When he saw me, his expression flickered, just for a moment, with something that might have been guilt. Julian! He approached with his hand extended, all false bonhomie and white teeth. Great to see you. How's business? Booming, I said, shaking his hand and squeezing just a little too hard. Just bought the Morrison mansion, actually. His eyes widened. The Morrison place? That's impressive. Must have cost a fortune. 3 million. Cash. I watched his face carefully. Tara nearly fainted when I told her. She's been dreaming about that house for years. I bet she has. Something ugly flickered in his expression. She has excellent taste. In houses, yes. In people. I shrugged. Well, she married me, so her judgment isn't perfect. Derek laughed, but it sounded forced. You're a lucky man, Julian. Tara's special. She certainly is, though I have to say she's been acting strange lately. Distracted, like she's got something on her mind. Maybe she's just excited about the new house. Maybe. I finished my whiskey. Or maybe she's got other things occupying her attention. You know how women are, always multitasking. The conversation continued for another few minutes, each of us probing for weaknesses while maintaining the facade of friendship. Derek was good at it, but I'd been practicing in boardrooms for years. By the time we parted ways, I could see the sweat beading on his forehead. I found Tara near the dance floor, surrounded by her usual circle of admirers, the other influencers and social climbers who fed off each other's manufactured glamour. There's my husband, she announced as I approached, her voice bright with performative affection. Julian just bought us the most amazing house. The group erupted in congratulations and questions. Where was it? How big? Could they see photos? Tara basked in the reflected glory, playing the role of the grateful wife to perfection. We should celebrate, said Jennifer Walsh, a redhead who ran a fashion blog and had been one of Tara's closest friends since college. Dinner tomorrow night? The whole group? Actually, I said, I was thinking of throwing a housewarming party. Next weekend, maybe. Give everyone a chance to see the place. Tara's smile faltered slightly. Don't you think we should wait until we're actually moved in? Why wait? The house is furnished and the weather's supposed to be perfect. Besides, I want to show off my beautiful wife in her new home. The group loved the idea, already planning their outfits and Instagram strategies. Tara had no choice but to agree, though I caught her shooting nervous glances in Derek's direction. The evening continued with speeches and auction bidding, the usual performance of civic virtue that made everyone feel better about their comfortable lives. I bid on a few items, a golf package I'd never use, a wine tasting I'd never attend, keeping up appearances while my mind worked on the details of my plan. It was nearly midnight when we finally left the hotel. Tara was quiet during the drive home, staring out the window at the empty streets. You were different tonight, she said finally. Different how? I don't know. More intense. Like you were watching everyone. I pulled into our driveway and turned off the engine. Maybe I was. You learn a lot about people when you pay attention. She looked at me then, really looked, and for a moment I thought she might confess everything. Instead, she leaned over and kissed me, her lips soft and familiar and full of lies. I love you, Julian, she whispered. I know, I said. That's what makes this so perfect. She pulled back, confused by my words, but I was already getting out of the car. Inside the house, I poured myself a nightcap and sat in my study, reviewing the files Mason had compiled. Photos of Tara and Derek at restaurants, hotels, even a weekend trip to Chicago I'd thought was a girls' spa retreat. My phone buzzed with a text from Derek. We need to talk, tomorrow. I smiled and typed back, looking forward to it. The trap was set. All I had to do now was wait for them to walk into it. Derek chose Riverside Park for our meeting, probably thinking the public setting would keep things civilized. He was waiting on a bench overlooking the water when I arrived, his usual confidence replaced by obvious anxiety. Thanks for coming, he said as I sat down beside him. Wouldn't miss it. You sounded urgent. He was quiet for a long moment, watching a jogger pass by on the trail below us. Julian, there's something I need to tell you. About Tara and me. I'm listening. We've been seeing each other for about 3 months now. He turned to face me, his expression a mixture of guilt and defiance. I didn't plan for it to happen. It just did. I nodded thoughtfully. 3 months? That's interesting timing. What do you mean? 3 months ago is when I started putting together the financing for the mansion. When I started working those late nights making those deals. When I was building the life Tara said she wanted. Derek shifted uncomfortably. Julian, I know how this looks. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like my wife started shopping for a replacement husband right around the time she thought I might actually be able to give her everything she'd been asking for. It's not like that. No? Then what is it like, Derek? Help me understand how a man sleeps with his friend's wife and then looks him in the eye at charity galas. His facade cracked slightly. We're in love, Julian. I know that's hard to hear, but it's the truth. Tara's not happy with you. She hasn't been for a long time. Funny. She seemed pretty happy when I told her about the $3 million house. Money isn't everything. I laughed, a sound with no humor in it. That's easy to say when you're broke. How much debt are you carrying these days, Derek? 50,000? 100? His face went pale. How do you... I make it my business to know things about people who interest me, and you've become very interesting lately. I stood up, looking down at him. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to end whatever this is with my wife. You're going to disappear from her life completely, and if you ever contact her again, I'll destroy you. Derek stood too, trying to reclaim some dignity. You can't threaten me, Julian. I'm not threatening you. I'm promising you. I stepped closer, close enough that he had to crane his neck to meet my eyes. I've spent 15 years building my reputation in this city. I know everyone who matters, and they all owe me favors. One word from me, and you'll never work in this town again. Tara won't choose you, he said desperately. Not when she knows what kind of man you really are. What kind of man am I, Derek? The kind who thinks he can buy people, who thinks money solves everything. I smiled. You're absolutely right. I am that kind of man. And you know what? It works. I walked away, leaving him standing alone by the water. Phase 1 was complete. Now for the real show. That evening, I was waiting in the living room when Tara came home from what she'd claimed was a shopping trip with Jennifer. She looked flustered, her usual composure cracked around the edges. How was shopping? I asked from my chair. Fine. Good. Jennifer bought a dress for the housewarming party. She set down her purse with shaking hands. Julian, we need to talk. About what? She sat down across from me, her beautiful face serious in a way I hadn't seen in months. About us. About our marriage. What about it? I think we need to take a break. Some time apart to figure out what we really want. I leaned back in my chair, studying her. This is interesting timing, right after I buy you a mansion. It's not about the house. No? Then what is it about? She took a deep breath. I've been seeing someone else. I know. The words hung in the air between us like a blade. Tara's eyes widened. You know? Derek Grant, 3 months, the Riverside Hotel mostly, though you've branched out to some nice restaurants. The Tiffany bracelet was a nice touch, by the way. Though you probably should have been more careful about which credit card you used. She stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Julian, I can explain. Can you? Because I'd love to hear the explanation for how my wife of 8 years decided to start auditioning for my replacement while I was working 16-hour days to buy her dream house. Tears started flowing down her cheeks, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no sadness, just a cold satisfaction at finally having everything out in the open. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. "Derek and we just connected. He understands me in a way that you don't. He understands your credit limit, you mean? That's not fair." "Fair?" I stood up, my voice rising for the first time. "You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been having this conversation before you started sleeping with another man. Fair would have been giving me a chance to fix whatever was wrong with our marriage. Fair would have been not making me look like a fool in front of the entire city." "Nobody knows." "Everybody knows, Tara. This is a small town. People talk. Mrs. Pettigrew saw you leave with him. The hotel staff recognized you. Half the city's been watching my wife cheat on me while I was too stupid and trusting to see it." She was crying harder now, her perfect makeup running in black streams down her face. "What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? I am sorry. I never wanted to hurt you." "But you did hurt me. And now I'm going to hurt you back." She looked up at me, fear replacing the guilt in her eyes. "What do you mean?" I walked to my desk and pulled out a manila folder, the same one Mason had given me days earlier. I dropped it in her lap. "Divorce papers. I'm filing tomorrow morning. You can keep the clothes and the jewelry, the stuff you actually paid for anyway. Everything else belongs to me." "Julian, please. Including the house, the mansion you're so excited about. It's not in my name anymore. I signed it over to my mother yesterday. So even if you manage to take half of everything else, you'll never live in that house." The cruelty of it hit her like a physical blow. She doubled over, sobbing. "You can't do this to me. I can, and I am. But don't worry. I'm sure Derek will take care of you. Oh, wait. I forgot to mention. I had a conversation with Derek today. He's decided to end things with you. Something about not wanting to destroy his reputation over a married woman." She looked up at me, her face a mask of devastation. "You're lying." I pulled out my phone and played a recording I'd made during my conversation with Derek. His voice was clear and unmistakable. "It's over, Tara. I can't do this anymore. Julian knows everything, and I have to think about my business, my future. I'm sorry." The message had been edited, of course, taken from a longer conversation and spliced together to create the narrative I wanted. But Tara didn't know that. "He used you," I said quietly. "Just like you used me. The only difference is, I actually loved you." She sat there in the wreckage of her life, crying like a broken doll. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "The housewarming party is still on," I said. "I think people should see what they're really celebrating." The housewarming party was everything I'd hoped it would be, and more. The Morrison mansion gleamed in the late afternoon sun, its manicured gardens and infinity pool providing the perfect backdrop for Millfield's social elite to see and be seen. I'd hired the best caterers in the city and made sure every detail was perfect. Tara played her part beautifully, smiling and greeting guests as if her world hadn't imploded 3 days earlier. She wore a white sundress that made her look like an angel, and if you didn't know better, you'd think she was the happiest woman alive. But I could see the cracks in her performance, the way her smile faltered when she thought no one was looking, the tremor in her hands when she lifted her wine glass. Derek had surprised me by showing up, though he looked like a man walking to his own execution. He stayed on the opposite side of the party from Tara, making stilted conversation with people who seemed to sense something was wrong without quite knowing what. I worked the crowd like a politician, accepting congratulations and playing the role of the successful husband. Mayor Patterson praised my business acumen. The Chamber of Commerce president talked about my contributions to the community. Jennifer Walsh and the other influencers took endless photos, already planning their posts about the gorgeous mansion and the perfect couple who owned it. It was nearly sunset when I made my move. "Ladies and gentlemen," I called out, tapping my wine glass with a fork. The crowd gathered around the pool area, their faces turned toward me expectantly. I want to thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate this milestone in my life. Polite applause rippled through the crowd. Tara stood near the back, her face pale but composed. When I bought this house, I thought I was buying a dream. A place where my wife and I could build our future together, surrounded by friends and family who care about us. I paused, letting the words sink in. But dreams, as we all know, don't always match reality. A few people shifted uncomfortably. The mood was starting to change. The reality is that while I was working to build that future, my wife was building a different kind of future with someone else. Someone who's here tonight, actually. Gasps and murmurs swept through the crowd. Tara's face went white as paper. Derek Grant, would you like to say something? About the 3 months you've been sleeping with my wife? The party erupted. People turned to stare at Derek, who looked like he wanted to disappear into the ground. Phones came out. Cameras started recording. This would be all over social media within the hour. Julian, stop, Tara said, pushing through the crowd toward me. Please. Stop what? Telling the truth? Isn't that what you wanted when you said we needed to be honest with each other? Derek tried to leave, but Mason appeared beside him, a friendly hand on his shoulder that looked casual but effectively trapped him in place. The funny thing is, I continued, I actually thought about forgiving her. Marriage is work, right? People make mistakes. But then I realized something important. I walked over to Tara, who was now crying openly in front of 50 of the most important people in Millfield. This house? The one you've been telling everyone is ours? It's not. I signed it over to my mother. The cars, the bank accounts, the business, all mine. The only thing you're going to get out of our marriage is exactly what you brought into it. Nothing. You can't do this to me, she whispered. I already have. I turned back to the crowd, most of whom were recording everything on their phones. I want everyone to know that Tara is available now, single and ready to mingle. Though I should mention that her boyfriend Derek is married, broke, and apparently not interested in leaving his wife for her. But I'm sure someone here tonight might be interested in a woman who's proven she's willing to cheat for the right price. The cruelty of it was breathtaking, even to me. But I was past caring about mercy or fairness. I wanted destruction, and I was getting it. Derek finally found his voice. You're insane, Julian. This is insane. Is it? I think it's perfectly sane. My wife cheated on me with a man who was using her for money she didn't have. Now everyone knows it. Seems like justice to me. You've humiliated her in front of the entire city. She humiliated herself. I'm just making sure everyone gets to see it. The party was disintegrating around us. Some guests were leaving in disgust. Others were staying to watch the show. The influencers were having a field day, their phones capturing every moment of Tara's destruction. Jennifer Walsh, who had been Tara's closest friend, was among the most vicious. I can't believe you did this to Julian, she said, her voice carrying across the pool area. After everything he's done for you. Jennifer, please. Tara reached for her friend, but Jennifer stepped back like she was contagious. Don't. Just don't. This is going to be everywhere tomorrow. Do you know what this does to my brand, being associated with you? It was perfect. Better than I'd planned. Tara wasn't just losing her husband and her lover, she was losing her entire social circle, her career, her identity. Derek made another attempt to leave, but I wasn't done with him yet. Derek, don't go. I have something for you. I pulled out my phone and opened the recording app. This is Derek Grant admitting to sleeping with my wife. I thought his business partners might be interested in hearing it. And his wife, of course. She doesn't know yet, but I'm sure she'll find out soon. You bastard, Derek snarled, finally showing some backbone. You think you can destroy people's lives because you have money? I don't think it. I know it. Money is power, Derek. and power is the ability to make your enemies suffer while your friends watch and applaud. He lunged at me then, his control finally snapping. It was exactly what I'd been hoping for. Mason stepped in smoothly, catching Derek's arm and twisting it behind his back with the casual efficiency of someone who'd done it 1,000 times before. "I don't think you want to assault someone in front of 50 witnesses," Mason said calmly. "Especially not someone who's about to own everything you've ever worked for." The fight went out of Derek like air from a punctured balloon. He sagged in Mason's grip, defeated. "Let him go," I said. "He's not worth the effort." Mason released him, and Derek stumbled away, pushing through the crowd of onlookers who parted like he was radioactive. I turned to face the remaining guests, who were staring at me with a mixture of shock, admiration, and fear. "The bar's still open," I announced, "and the caterers made enough food for twice this many people. Please, stay and enjoy yourselves. After all, we're celebrating new beginnings." Some people left, others stayed, drawn by the spectacle and the free alcohol. By the time the sun set over the lake, the party had transformed into something darker and more honest than the polite social gathering it had started as. Tara had disappeared sometime during the chaos, probably fleeing to lick her wounds in private. I found myself standing alone on the mansion's deck, looking out over the water and feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. My phone buzzed with notifications, social media posts, text messages, missed calls from reporters who'd already gotten wind of the story. By tomorrow, everyone in the state would know about Julian Hayes and his spectacular revenge on his cheating wife. Mason appeared beside me, 2 glasses of whiskey in his hands. "Feel better?" he asked. "Much." I took the glass and raised it in a toast. "To new beginnings." "To old friends," he countered. We drank in comfortable silence, watching the lights of the city twinkle across the water. Behind us, the party continued, but it felt like someone else's celebration now. I had what I wanted: justice, revenge, the satisfaction of knowing that everyone who had wronged me would pay the price. 3 months later, Tara moved back in with her parents in Ohio. Her influencer career was over, her social circle had abandoned her, and Derek had filed for bankruptcy after his wife took him for everything in their divorce. I heard through the grapevine that they tried to make a go of it together, but poverty and mutual resentment had eliminated whatever they'd thought was love. I kept the house, of course. My mother decided she preferred her own place, so she signed it back to me with a knowing smile and a warning about the dangers of trusting beautiful women. I threw better parties there, with better people, and never once felt guilty about what I'd done. Some people called me cruel. Others called me brilliant. I called myself a man who had learned the most important lesson life has to teach, that in the end, the only person you can truly count on is yourself. And sometimes, if you're smart enough and ruthless enough, that's all you need.